Now, when Robin started singing a song with a sweet voice of a bird, then a little gust of wind rushed down there near the down the path, and it was stronger than usual. It was strong enough to wave the branch of tree. With that wind, the branches of the trees were waving and sway the trailing ivy hanging from the wall. The ivy, the climbing plant also started hanging there. It also started swaying. Trailing is a plant that grow downwards. This ivy plant also hanging from the wall started swaying. Suddenly the gust of wind swung aside some loose ivy. That wind swung the loose ivy aside, and Mary saw something under it. Now, what was there? What was that under the ivy? There was a round knob, and that knob was covered with leaves hanging over it. It was the knob of the door of the secret garden. Now, she put her hand under the leaves and tried to pull and push them aside. But the ivy that was hung, it was thick and like a loose and swaying curtain it was. Mary's heart began to thump and her hands began to shake a little in her delight and excitement. She was excited that at last she found the key and door, everything of the garden. Now she want to just enter inside the garden and want to have a look at what was there inside the garden. The robin kept singing and twittering away and tilting his head on one side. It was still singing, and if he were as excited as she was, Robin and Mary both were excited. What was this under her hand? It was square and made of iron. That was the lock of the door, which was closed for 10 years. She put her hand in her pocket and drew out the key and found that it fitted the keyhole. Now, when the key that fitted to the keyhole, she was very happy and excited. Then she put the key in and turned the knob of the door. It took 2 hands to do it, but it turned. She tried to open it. And then she took a long breath and looked behind her up the long walk to see if anyone was coming. She was looking there that as if someone is coming. No one was coming. No one never did come, it seemed. And she took another long breath and held back the swinging curtain of ivy and pushed the door of the garden, which opened slowly. Then she slipped from there and shut it behind her. And she stood her back against it, looking about her and breathing quite fast with excitement. She was surprised looking the garden, and she was very happy. She was standing inside the garden now. It was sweet, mysterious looking place that anyone could imagine. The walls of the garden were high and it was were covered with the stamp of climbing roses. Just see, just think that how beautiful it would be, climbing roses on the high walls of the garden. which was so thick that they were matted together. Matted together means they were close by, stuck close, and it was thick enough. Mary knew that there were roses because she had seen a great many roses in India. Rose bushes covered the entire garden. Everywhere there was rose bushes. Whole garden was covered with that. Indeed, it was different from any other place. She had never seen such beautiful roses as she saw in this garden. How still it is, she whispered. As she was alone, she was whispering to herself that how still everything here in the garden is. Then she waited there a moment and listened to the stillness, the silence in the garden. The robin who had flown to his treetop was silent too. Robin too were looking there, and it was also silent now. He did not ever flutter his wings. He sat without stirring and looked at Mary. Robin were looking at Mary. They both were excited and were still, and both were looking around the garden. No wonder it is still, she whispered again. I am the first person. Mary thought that no problem, and she is the first person who spoke in the garden, which was closed from 10 years. Then she moved away from the door softly and as if she were afraid of walking someone. She was glad, happy that there was grass under her feet and that her steps made no sound because when there is soft grass, when you will walk on the soft grass, it will make no sound. The sun was shining inside the four walls and the high blue sky. It looked beautiful and it seemed softer and more brilliant than it was anywhere else. The robin then flew down from the treetop and hopped about there in the garden and flew after her from one bush to another. They were enjoying, both were enjoying in the garden. Robin was enjoying by hopping here and there, and Mary, she was looking to the bushes, trees, different kind of plants in the garden. He chirped a good day and had a very bushy ear, as if showing her things. Everything was strange and silent, and she seemed to be hundreds of miles away from anywhere, as if she is 100 miles away from anyone. But she did not feel lonely at all because that garden was full of trees, roses, different kind of bushes. She didn't felt alone there. She was excited and happy to be in the garden. I hope you understand the story and like the story. Thank you.